Are Ipswich Town the best newly promoted side we've ever had in the Championship? Let's discuss. I think it's fair to say that the hype level surrounding Kieran McKenna's side have reached new highs over these last few weeks. Not only are Ipswich second in the Championship right now, having picked up 21 points from their first 8 matches, but in midweek they dumped Wolves out of the EFL Cup and played some fantastic football along the way. The wider footballing world is starting to get wind of what Kieran McKenna's doing with this Ipswich squad right now, and I just find the whole project absolutely fascinating. Now, if you want to hear my thoughts on Ipswich's promotion season last time and how long it's taken them to get back up to this level, make sure to go back on the channel to a couple of months ago where we did a deeper dive on Ipswich Town and how they've got to this point. But I thought this update video was worth doing because there's a lot of hype surrounding Ipswich right now. I thought it would be worthy to look into their promotion chances come the end of the season and how this Ipswich side actually stacks up to some of the greatest sides that we've had in the past that have come up from League One to the Championship. The first thing to dive into with this Ipswich Town squad is the statistics, because they're absolutely off the charts right now. Across their first 8 Championship matches, Ipswich have averaged 2.63 points per game, which if projected over an entire season would be worthy of a whopping 121 points. Now obviously there's no chance that Ipswich keep up this relentless form between now and the end of the season. The Championship's far too unpredictable for that, and there just will be a natural drop-off at some stage of the season. What I thought was interesting though was, what do Ipswich need to do because of this great start between now and the end of the season to at least guarantee them a spot in the top 6? Well, last season we had a brilliant side that was promoted from League One and automatically went into the promotion race, and that was Sunderland. Ultimately, Tony Mowbray's side finished 6th in the Championship with 69 points to their name. Now, in order for Ipswich to just match Sunderland's tally from last season of 69 points, they'd only need to pick up 48 points from their remaining 38 games this season. So 48 points in 38 games would be 1.26 points per game. For context, that was what Hull averaged throughout the entirety of last season. Suddenly, when you read out some of those statistics, you realise just how good this Ipswich side has been so far. And it's not just the points on the board that have been so impressive from this Ipswich squad so far, but it's the style in which they've done so. Kieran McKenna's side are currently the joint top scorers in the Championship, along with Norwich having scored 17 goals in their first 8 matches. For context, that's currently 2.1 goals per game. Last season's top scorers in the league were Burnley, and even they were only averaging 1.87 goals per game. Now, sometimes it can be a fluke that a side scored that many goals, but the underlying numbers back up Ipswich being this great attacking threat. Having one quick hover over the current XG table, you'll see that Ipswich currently top that, having accumulated a higher XG than any other Championship side so far, including big hitters Leicester, Blackburn, who have got into plenty of goal scoring areas, and Norwich as well, who have been up there in the goal scoring charts. Nathan Broadhead and Connor Chaplin have been their most prolific players so far this season, but McKenna's been able to rely upon pretty much the entire squad to chip in with goals. They've had 9 different scorers so far. Now, one potential vulnerability that some people have picked out with this Ipswich side, and why a few people think they may start to drop off, is because of a potential defensive vulnerability which is there in their ranks. They have conceded 10 goals in their first 8 matches, so over 1 goal per game going in against them right now. I thought this would be an interesting topic to explore as well. One thing to point out first of all is that regular first team goalkeeper Christian Walton has been out with an injury so far this season, so he's not been able to play. But to be fair, Leckley's been absolutely excellent in stepping up. From a shot stopping perspective, he's been the best goalkeeper in the league so far. So why have Ipswich conceded so many goals, and why does it only seem to be a problem for them in their home matches? Because yes, while it may be true that Ipswich have been conceding on average over 1 goal per game right now, that's not actually been applicable to their games on the road. In 3 of their 4 away matches this season, Ipswich have kept clean sheets, and in the game they did concede, they ultimately won 2-1 against Sunderland. Suddenly it paints a different picture that Ipswich go into games a little bit differently tactically at home and away, and it does have to be stressed that on the road Ipswich have produced some fabulous defensive performances this season where they have had to withstand a lot of pressure from the opposition. In that opener of the season against Sunderland, they played brilliantly on the counter-attack, soaked up a lot of pressure early on, and they've also done so especially in those away games against QPR and Southampton. Ipswich tend to be a little bit more expansive when they're playing at home though, and thus that opens them up to attacking opportunities from the opposition. But the ace up their sleeve right now is they're just able to outscore these teams. So in usual circumstances, conceding a high volume of chances and goals would be a little bit of a cause for concern. But I think that Ipswich have proven, especially with their performances on the road, that if they want to be that defensive unit, they absolutely can be. But when they do have as much firepower in their ranks right now, they want to open up the pitch. They've been doing that in their home matches, and so far they've reaped the benefits. Now, I always love to keep updated with the bookies' promotion odds. Before a ball had been kicked this season, the bookies did rate Ipswich very highly. They had them in their top 6 to quite a lot of people's surprise, but I don't think many people are that surprised anymore. Taking a look at the updated promotion odds based on Sky Bet's current markets, Ipswich are the second favourites for promotion right now. Now, in a lot of ways, this table does somewhat mirror the table in real life, along with some other sides that were fancied at the start of the season, but Leicester continue to be by far and away the most backed side to win the championship, but Ipswich fitting in second there, above the likes of Leeds, Norwich, Southampton, Sunderland and my side Preston as well. Suddenly when you get a team that's hyped this much, that suddenly backs it up with performances and results on the pitch, you start to have these serious conversations about them. However, there have been some big claims made on social media recently. Is this Ipswich side the best we've ever seen promoted from League One and into the Championship? Well, I thought it'd be worth stacking up how Ipswich currently are to some of the other sides that have achieved back-to-back promotions in the past. So going off the last 15 years in the Championship, 2 sides have done back-to-back promotions, gone from League One straight to a promotion in the Championship to the Premier League. Those 2 sides were Southampton in 2010 to 2012, and funnily enough, Norwich City in 2009 to 2011. And I thought it would be quite fun to have a brief look back on how both Southampton and Norwich achieved back-to-back promotions and compare their stats in their promotion season from the Championship to what Ipswich have been doing so far, to see if we can draw any parallels between them. So Norwich were the first side out of the pair to achieve the back-to-back promotions in League One in 2009/10. They absolutely walked League One, picking up 95 points along the way. And then amazingly, they went straight from that League One promotion to a promotion in the Championship, finishing second on 84 points. Now, as a Preston fan, I don't have the best memories from this season because Preston were relegated the season Norwich were promoted from the Championship. But looking back on that team, it was filled with superstars. A brilliant Championship spine made up of the likes of John Ruddy, Russell Martin, Wes Hoolahan and Grant Holt, and they really set the precedent for Southampton to follow the following year. So Southampton won promotion from League One in 2010/11, finishing in second place with 92 points. And then what followed was an unbelievable season in the Championship where they finished second on 88 points, beating out West Ham into that automatic promotion spot. And looking back on it, that Southampton team that achieved back-to-back promotions was one for the ages. With the spine of Kelvin Davis, Jose Fonte, Morgan Schneiderlin, Adam Lallana, Jack Cook, Ricky Lambert and Billy Sharp, it's no wonder not only Southampton achieved promotion that year, but then managed so many years of stability in the Premier League. Based on all the squads, I think Southampton hands down win this one for the strongest back-to-back promotions. And I think when we talk about the best ever promoted team from League One, we have to give Southampton that respect. But just to track where Ipswich are right now, I thought it would be worth comparing Ipswich's stats from this season so far to Southampton's promotion season and also Norwich's promotion season when they achieved double back-to-back promotions. Now, of course, it goes without saying here that we are judging Ipswich off a significantly smaller sample size than we are Southampton and Norwich and when they achieve back-to-back promotions, but it's an interesting gauge to see just where Ipswich are ranking right now compared to, in my opinion, the best 2 newly promoted sides we've ever had from League One. So when Norwich achieved back-to-back promotions, when they were in the Championship, they were averaging 1.8 points per game, Southampton slightly better than that at 1.9, and Ipswich all the way up at 2.6 right now. Now that number will significantly come down, I'd imagine, by the time we reach around about December. But those are the sort of levels that Ipswich will need to average out at if they want to maintain and be in and around the automatic promotion race. And judging off their start so far, it is, it's not out of the question, it is quite feasible. When we talk about the amount of goals this Ipswich side is scoring right now, they also top this chart as well. Once again, we're of course judging Ipswich on a very small sample size compared to Southampton and Norwich and 2 great teams of the past, but both Southampton and Norwich in their promotion season were averaging 1.8 goals per game. Ipswich have been slightly better than that so far at 2.1. Most of Ipswich's goals so far have come at Portman Road. Their games on the road have been a little bit tighter. And then funnily enough, while we have, somewhat identified maybe some defensive issues, been a little bit of a vulnerability within that Ipswich side, it's still very comparable, especially to Norwich, who in their promotion season were conceding an average of 1.3 goals per game. Southampton's slightly better than that at just 1 goal per game, but it does show that if you have the right firepower, the right momentum about your squad, you can afford to get away with shipping a few goals here and there. But ultimately, what's the overall takeaway from this video? At the start of the video, I posed the question whether or not this Ipswich Town squad are the greatest ever we've seen promoted from League One to the Championship, and right now I'd say no. I think Southampton comfortably maintain that crown. However, looking into some of the underlying statistics of the sides that have achieved back-to-back promotions in the past, it does show that Ipswich are keeping pace and in some instances going beyond them based on their start to the season. I'd welcome some of your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think this is sustainable, this brilliant start to the season by Ipswich, or do you think there will be a significant drop-off? Do you think they'll drop down into the playoffs? What's your gut feeling currently telling you about Ipswich and where they'll finish at the end of the season? I'd be interested to know. But guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. If you did go on to enjoy, please do stick around and subscribe for some regular Championship content as well. Very close to 40k subscribers now, which would be awesome. But apart from that, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.